Hello everyone. Today we're going to discuss Introduction to Dimensionality Reduction for Machine Learning. And basically this is used for data preparations. Now the number of input variables or features for a dataset is referred to as its dimensionality. And the technique used to reduce the number of input variables in a dataset is what we call dimensionality reduction. The more input features we have, the often makes a predictive modeling task more challenging to a model. And this is basically referred to as the curse of dimensionality. Now, high dimensionality statistics and dimensionality reduction techniques are often used for data visualization. However, these techniques can also be used in applied machine learning to simplify classification or regression dataset in order to better fit a predictive model. So after the end of this lesson, you will be able to know the following. Number one, large numbers of input features can cause poor performance for machine learning algorithms. Number two, dimensionality reduction is a general field of study concerned with reducing the number of input features. And finally, dimensionality reduction methods include feature selection, linear algebra methods, projection methods, and autoencoders. Let's talk about the problem with many input variables. The performance of machine learning algorithms can degrade with too many input variables. No? If your data is presented, for example, using rows and columns, such as in spreadsheet, then the input variables are the columns that are fed as input to a model to predict the target variable. And input variables are also called features. And we can consider the columns of data representing dimension on an n-dimensional feature space and the rows of data as points in that space. And this is useful geometric interpretation of a dataset. And having a large number of dimensions in the feature space can mean that the volume of that space is very large. And in turn, the points that we have in that space, or we call it the rows of the data, often represent a small and non-representative sample. And this can dramatically impact the performance of machine learning algorithms fit on data with many input features. And this is what we call the curse of dimensionality. Therefore, it is often desirable to reduce the number of input features, and this reduces the number of dimensions of the feature space, hence the name dimensionality reduction. So basically, we have many techniques, no, that can be used for dimensionality reduction. One of the techniques commonly used is the feature selection methods, which uses scoring or statistical methods to select which features to keep and which features to delete. There are two main classes of feature selection techniques. Number one is the wrapper methods. As the name suggests, wrapper method wrap a machine learning model, fitting and evaluating the model with different subsets of input features and selecting the subset that results in the best model performance. An example of this is RFE or recursive feature elimination. And another main class of feature selection technique is what we call the filter method. Filter methods use scoring methods as well, like correlation between the feature and target variable to select a subset of input features that are more predictive. Now, RFE here, as mentioned, is the recursive feature elimination, which is commonly used as a wrapper method. The Pearson's correlation mentioned here in the filter methods is used to measure the strength of a linear association between two variables where the value R is equal to 1, no? Which means a perfect positive correlation. And if the value of R is equal to -1, that means a perfect negative correlation. The chi-squared test here is what we call the chi-square test of independence, which determines whether there is an association between categorical variables, no? Whether the variables are independent or related. And it is a non-parametric test, and basically it's called the chi-square test of association. Now, another method is the matrix factorization. This is a technique from linear algebra, which can also be used for dimensionality reduction. And these matrix factorization methods can be used to reduce a dataset matrix into its constituent parts. And examples include the eigen decomposition and singular value decomposition. Another method is the manifold learning, which can also be used for dimensionality reduction. And this technique, which is referred to manifold learning, they are used to create a low dimensional projection of high dimensional data, often for the purposes of data visualization. Now, the projection is designed to both create a low dimensional representation of the dataset whilst best preserving the salient structure or relationship in the data. Examples of manifold learning techniques include the Kohonen self-organizing map, or the SOM, Salmon's mapping, MDS or multidimensional scaling, and the T-distributed stochastic neighbor embedding, or TSNE. Another method is what we call the auto-encoder methods. And actually, this is a deep learning neural network which can be constructed to perform dimensionality reduction. Um, this is a popular method basically applied in deep learning, and it involves framing a self-supervised learning problem where a model must reproduce the input correctly. Now, we have some tips here for dimensionality reduction. Remember that there is no best technique for dimensionality reduction and no mapping of techniques to problems. Instead, the best approach is to use systematic controlled experiments, or sometimes we do trial and error to discover what dimensionality reduction techniques is best for our model or for our dataset. So whenever we pair it with the model of our choice, it results in the best performance of our dataset. Typically, linear algebra and manifold learning methods assume that all input features have the same scale or distribution, and this suggests that it is good practice to either normalize or standardize data prior to using these methods if the input variables have differing scales or units. Now, the most popular technique for dimensionality reduction in machine learning is the PCA, or the principal component analysis. And this is a technique that comes from the field of linear algebra and can be used as a data preparation technique to create a projection of a dataset prior to fitting a model. So at the end of this topic, you will be able to know that dimensionality reduction involves reducing the number of input variables or columns in modeling data. And PCA is a technique from linear algebra that can be used to automatically perform dimensionality reduction. Finally, you will be able to know that how to evaluate predictive models that use a PCA projection as input and make predictions with new raw data. Let's get ahead with the dimensionality reduction and PCA. So we identified earlier that dimensionality reduction refers to the reduction, or when we want to reduce the number of input variables for a particular data set. And PCA is one of the techniques basically used for dimensionality reduction. And we can use PCA actually to calculate a projection of a data set and select a number of dimensions or principal components of the projection to use as input to a model. We have in Python, we have a scikit-learn library which provides the PCA class that can be fit on a data set and use it to transform a training data set and any additional data set in the future. Here's an example of uh, some codes of the PCA. So from line 1, we know that this is used to define our data. And then line 3 defines as the transformation that should be done, which is to use the model or the method of the PCI or the principal component analysis. So this one is just like instantiating an object. And then we prepare the transform on the dataset by using the function fit, no, and including it inside the data that we have here. No. And then, of course, after fitting or transforming the PCA, using the PCA to transform the dataset, we apply the transform to the dataset, no, by using the function transform, okay, using the module PCA and the method transform inside that PCA and allowing us to transform that to our dataset. So basically, the output of the PCA can be used as input to train a model. And the best approach to use PCA is by using a pipeline, no, where the first step is the PCA transformation, and the next step is the learning algorithm that takes the transformed data as input. Now, to do that, so for example, we already have made the transformation. We need to define the pipeline. So this is the step on defining the pipeline. You can see here the following arguments. So so basically from here we are creating an object. We call it the steps, and we are identifying a column, no? A PCA column wherein the method PCA is used. And we do it by um, using the logistic regression function, and then we create the model by using the pipeline method, no? So you can see here that um, the pipeline is initiated in the scikit library as the following arguments are here. So you can see here the following arguments. The documentation string for the pipeline is used to transform it with a final estimator. So it applies a list of transforms and a final estimator. Okay. And the purpose of the pipeline is to assemble several steps that can be cross-validated together while setting different parameters. You can see here the different parameters, such for example the steps, no? So the steps here are actually, this is in the form of a list. It's a list of a name or a transform tuples implementing the fit or the transform function that are chained in the order in which they are chained with the last object as an estimator. Then we have another argument, which is the memory. Basically, we don't use the memory here, but basically this is for the memory interface. And then we have the verbose, wherein we can see whether the function is performing or not, no? Basically, if it is true, the time elapsed while fitting each step will be printed as it is completed. So the following can be the steps, no, or the attributes. So we can choose uh, name steps also. but basically we did not use it here. Now another idea prior to performing the PCA transformation here, okay, is that we can normalize the data prior to performing the PCA transformation. If, for example, if the input variables have differing units or scales, we need to implement the normalization, and that is by calling the function min-max scalar or any standardization method, which is also found in the scikit-learn. So basically, this is basically the same with this. And as you can see, before the transformation, PCA transformation, we did here a standardization process to normalize the data. Okay, let's go ahead with a simple example of the PCA for dimensionality reduction. So here in this code, we use the make classification function. We import it from sklearn.datasets, and we use it to create a synthetic binary classification problem with 1,000 examples and 20 inputs, input features, and 15 inputs of which are meaningful. Okay, so from here you can see that the arguments involved in the make classification function are the following. So you can see here there are lots of um, arguments that can be included in the make classification function. But here in our example, we are just using um, the different parameters such as the number of samples and then the number of features. And the number of features defines the total number of features, which comprise the informative, the redundant, the repeated features. So that's the total number of features. So included here, the total number of features is 20, but the informative or the useful type of features are only 15. And we also have a redundant feature of 5, no? And then we have a random state of 7 used for um, randomization. So if we try to run the example, it creates a data set which summarizes the shape of the input and output components. Here we have an input of 1,000 samples with 20 features, and the output of this is 1,000. Next, we can use dimensionality reduction on this data set while fitting a logistic regression model now. So we will use a pipeline where the first step performs the PCA transform and selects the 10 most important dimensions or components, and then fits a logistic regression model on these features. Now, we don't need to normalize the variables on this data set as all variables have the same scale by design. No? It's only a synthetic example. Okay. Now, the pipeline that we're going to use will be evaluated using repeated stratified cross-validation with 3 repeats and 10 folds per repeat. And the performance is presented as the mean classification accuracy. We'll have that example below. Now, in case that you don't know the meaning of the pipeline here is a continuous process that we're going to perform with the data. No? Then the first step is to perform the PCA transformation, and then followed by the selection of the 10 most important dimensions or components. And then later on, we're going to fit a logistic regression model on these features. Now, this is the example wherein first we need to import the following libraries. Okay, so we need to import NumPy, especially the function min. Actually, we don't need to import min. We just import NumPy as NP, import NumPy as, yeah, because basically when we import NumPy, all of these methods will be carried out in our program. And then we import the make classification from the data sets of the sklearn, as we are going to create a synthetic uh, data set. Okay. And then the cross validation here will be used to evaluate the performance of our model. Okay. The repeated stratified k-fold will be used also um, for, as we have defined here, the repeated validation will be used to evaluate the performance of the model. Okay, so here, after the importation of the dataset, we have here the code which is used to create a synthetic dataset. And then the pipeline goes with the PCA, and the number of components we define here is 10, and then followed by doing a logistic regression on the dataset. And we instantiate that using the pipeline, wherein the steps is the object that we created here for the pipeline. Okay? And then we evaluate the model by using repeated stratified fold, wherein n splits is equal to 10 and n repeat is equal to 3. So the meaning of that is that we are using it with 3 repeats and 10 folds per repeat. Okay, that will be the cross validation. To evaluate the score, we use the cross validation score function by applying it on the model and the data set, and we will be taking the accuracy as the score. Okay, and here we are printing the accuracy by getting the mean and the standard deviation. Okay, so the mean here will be the accuracy. Okay, so executing the following codes will allow us to get the accuracy of at least 82% or 81%. It evaluates the model and reports the classification accuracy. And the standard deviation here is about 3.4%. So the result may vary given the stochastic nature of the algorithm or evaluation procedure, or differences in numerical precision. But we can consider running the example a few times and compare the average outcome. So when we try to run it again, okay, so basically, so it's the same, no? Because we have a random state of which is equal to 1. Now, how do we know that reducing 20 dimensions of input down to 10 is good or the best we can do? No? From the original features, we only use 10 for the number of components. Okay, we reduce it to 10. How do we know that um, that it's the best that we can do? Actually, we don't know, no? And 10 was just an arbitrary choice. No, you can choose uh, less than or more than 10, for example. But the better approach is to evaluate the same transform and model with different numbers of input features and choose the number of features amount of dimensionality reduction that results in the best average performance. Okay, so for example, we can try to change the number of components here in the principal component analysis. So let's try to make this as 15 and we can run this. Let's see the accuracy. So you can see that the accuracy is higher. It's now 86.5 from 81.6 or zero point 0.8 before using 10 components. Now if you use 20, so basically we use all the features. So we did not reduce actually, no. The concept of PCA is to reduce the dimensionality of the number of features. So basically it should be less than 20. So if we try 18, for example, and we run this, So it's basically the same with the 15, no? So if it use less than 15, which is 14, and we try to run this, so the result will be equal to 85, which is lesser than the number of components. So basically, we can see that the best number of components, or uh, the reduced feature, from 20, the best is 15, no? Because from 10 we got only 81.6. In 15 we have 86.5, but if we have 14 it becomes 85.3. Okay, so basically the best outcome would be the number of features will be equal to 15, as we have seen from here. Okay, so let's try to run this once more. So we can see that the PCA transformed with logistic regression, and it achieved a performance of about 81.8% when we choose the when we reduce it to 10, no? And but when we reduce it only to 15, it gets higher accuracy. Okay, so you can also choose, for example, 5. So maybe we can check if what is the score of accuracy using this 5 components only. So you can see that we have lesser accuracy. Okay, so the best here is 15, but in the example, we reduce the 20 features to 10 components. Okay, to get a score of 81.6, which is actually a decent accuracy score. Okay, now to be able for us to perform a what do you call this? An experiment of looking for the best possible accuracy configuration for the PCA. We can use the following codes, okay, and I'll try as much as possible to explain this code. So basically, these are the importations, and what we're trying to do here is instead of performing um, instead of performing a trial and error method, maybe we can create some functions that can evaluate the different dimensionality reduction using PCA components. No? So for example, here in the first phase, basically it's the same as the other one. No? We just perform the different importations. The only thing that was added here is the matplotlib, wherein we're trying to import the pyplot. Okay, so basically this will be used for data visualization. Now here is a function to get the data set. So this is the function to do that, returning the x and the y values, which are our data set. Okay, so this is the same as the synthetic, no, the creation, or using the function from make classification, which is to use to be able for us to create a synthetic database. No, this could be different when you have a different set of data set, no, in your own. But here we're just trying to create a synthetic database now, and we put it in a function so that it will return values of the x and the y for the training set. And then for the models, okay, we created a dictionary inside this model. This function will create a dictionary that allows us to loop in ranges of 1 to 21. So this will be the components, no, of the number of components, no? So the I here, the iteratable variable will try to loop from 1 to 21, no? So instead of changing from 20 features 19 to 1, we iterate from 1 to 21. So this is the same basically as the pipeline that we have created a while ago. But the models, you can see from here, the models will evaluate the iterable variable, no? Iterable variable here. And it will return the model for us. No? So we have how many models? It will loop from 1 to 21. So basically the models will be created from 1 to 21. Okay? And then those models will be evaluated using this function. So we put the model and the data set here, and then we use the RSK or the repeated stratified k-fold, and then the cross-validation scoring, and then it will return the scores, no, for all. So defining the data set is basically we're calling the function that we have created, which is to get the data set. The models will be to get the models as defined here. Okay. And to get the result, we are putting it on a list. So basically we have two results, one list for the results and one is for the names. Now for the names, okay. So we're looping for the name and the model in models.items. So we're trying to loop for the scores, which will have to loop for the evaluate model, and then the results will be appended to get all the scores. Here is this is used for the data visualization. Okay, so running this will allow us to see the result of the following. Okay, you can see from here the model was evaluated from 1 to 20. Now 1 to 21 means 1 to 20 except 21. Okay, so it evaluated, so you can see here the percentage of the accuracy. So here we have the 10 components wherein the number of features was reduced to 10, it becomes 81.6. While we have the highest score at from 15 to 20, no, we have the highest score, 86.5. But we have a lesser score here from 1 to 6. Okay, so here's a box plot of the different components. You can see from here the lesser number of components, the lower accuracy, but the higher the number of components or features used, the higher the accuracy. Okay, so your results may vary given the stochastic nature of the algorithm or differences in numerical precision. No? But if you consider running the example few times, you can compare and average the outcome. So from the result, we can see a general trend of increased performance as the number of dimensions is increased. And on this data set, the results suggest a trade-off in the number of dimensions versus the classification accuracy of the model. But interestingly, we don't see any improvement beyond 15 components. And this matches our definition of the problem where only the first 15 components contain information about the class and the remaining 5 are redundant. So in the box and whisper plot, no, we created the distribution showing us that the trend is increasing classification accuracy with the number of components, but we need to limit it to a number of 15, okay, because this one has the highest accuracy. All right, so we may choose to use a PCA transform as a pipeline and a logistic regression model. So we can combine PCA and logistic regression, and we can combine them as our final model actually. And this involves fitting the pipeline on all available data and using the pipeline to make predictions on new data. Importantly, the same transform must be performed on this new data, which is handled automatically via the pipeline. So this is the example of fitting and using a final model with PCA transforms on new data. No? So we have the data set and we have reduced the number of features to 15 since 15 is the highest accuracy of the model that we have created. So we will use this as a pipeline to create our model. And then we can fit the model and we can use this model um, to basically make a single prediction. Now, here we have a function to predict this row, and this row contains the following list. So this is just, and we will now have to classify the predicted class according to the classification. So running this one will allow us to see that the predicted class here is 1. Okay? So you can see from the example here, the transform uses 15, no, most important components, no, as it has the highest accuracy based from the testing that we did above. And a new row of data with 20 columns, this is a new row, is provided. Okay, this is very long, as you can see, and is automatically transformed to 15 components, no? So when you count this, this is 20, but when we try to predict, this will be automatically transformed into 15 components because we feed it into the model. And it will be fed to the logistic regression model in order to predict the class label, which is 1. Another technique that we can use aside from principal component analysis for dimensionality reduction is what we call the SVD, or the singular value decomposition. And this is also a technique that comes from the field of linear algebra and can be used as a data preparation technique also to create a projection of a sparse data set prior to fitting a model. So after this lesson, you will know that dimensionality reduction involves reducing the number of input variables or columns in modeling data. And SVD is a technique from linear algebra that can be used to automatically perform dimensionality reduction. And finally, you will know how to evaluate predictive models that use an SVD projection as input and make predictions with new row data. So basically, SVD is a popular technique for reducing the dimension of the data set when the data is sparse. Now, what do we mean by sparse? Sparse data refers to rows of data where many of the values are 0. And this is often the case in some problem domains, like recommender systems, where a user has a rating for very few movies or songs in the database, and 0 ratings for all other cases. Another example is a bag of words model of a text document, where the document has a count or frequency for some words, and most words have a 0 value. Some common applications of SBD for dimensionality reduction are the following. So we have the recommender systems, customer product purchases, user song listen counts, user movie ratings, text classification, one-hot encoding, bag of words, and the TF-IDF. So let's proceed with how we can code the SVD, or the singular value decomposition. We will use SVD to calculate a projection of a data set and select a number of dimensions or principal components of the projection to use as input to a model. So we will be using the truncated SVD class from the scikit-learn library, and we'll use it to fit on a data set, and we'll also use it to transform a training data set and any additional data set in the future. So, like we did a while ago, we um, we import our data here. So this is just an example of a syntax, and then we to define the transformation, we use an instance, and we use um, the function truncated SVD, and then we fit that SVD, and then we use it to transform our data. So the outputs of the SVD can be used as input to train a model, no? And perhaps the best approach is to use a pipeline, no? So you remember the pipeline is a process, step-by-step process, no? Wherein here we are going to use SVD transform as our first step. And the next step is the learning algorithm, so which is the logistic regression, okay? And we use it to create our model. No? So basically, that will be our pipeline. Now, this is an example of a work data a while ago. This is basically the same as the example above for the um, principal component analysis, but now we're doing it in uh, singular value decomposition. Okay, so we use the make classification function, imported it from sklearn datasets, and then we use it to create our datasets, training datasets. The number of samples is the same, it's 1000, and the number of features are 20, wherein the informative ones are 15 and the redundant ones are 5. Okay, and then we print the shape of the dataset, which is x and y. So now you can have here 100 by 20. That means we have 1000 rows and 20 columns. And the output shape will be 1000. Okay, so next we can use dimensionality reduction on this data set while fitting a logistic regression model as is indicated here in our example here. The complete example is listed below. So basically, the first part is the same as the example above. We imported all the libraries that are needed. So basically, we have the make classification function to create the data set, and then the pipeline, um, which we are going to use. The first part of the pipeline is to use the truncated SVD, and here we indicated that we reduce the number of features from 20. We we placed here 10, okay, and then followed by the logistic regression, okay, and then we use repeated stratified k-fold for evaluation of the model, and to score we use the cross validation score function, and then we print the score. So notice here that this accuracy, when we run this one, so the accuracy is equal to 81.4, okay, and so that we will have an automatic um, um, determination of which is the best possible combination or best possible um, um, number of features for this particular data set. So we can use the earlier codes, but instead of using PCA, we are using the decomposition method for truncated singular value decomposition. So here, this is the function to return the x and y values. So we are importing from the function make classification from our data sets, and then we have the model. So here we are only doing it from 1 to 20. So that is 1 up to 19. Okay, and then we use for the steps that we will use for the pipeline, we will use the truncated SVD to loop for the iterable variable, which is I here, okay? And then we will use the logistic regression. So definitely this will return a model. Okay. And then we have, for evaluation of the model, we have the following. We will be using repeated stratified k-fold, and to score, we will use the cross-validation score. And this will return all the scores for all the models that will be created. Okay? So basically, this is much the same as the other. Okay, the difference is that the the first step of the type pipeline that we use here is the truncated SVD instead of the PCA. So running this will allow us to see that the following will be our scores. Okay, so definitely you can see from here that the number of features when reduced to 10 will have a score of 81.4, but when we reduce it to 11, it becomes 81.7, and it becomes 82 for 12 and 13, but for 14, it becomes 82.5. You will notice that from 15 and beyond, we will have a high score of 86.5. And basically, it is shown here from our box and whisper plot. Okay, so this is how we can evaluate the best possible model. Okay, and from here, the best possible model that we obtain is 15 because there are no changes from 15 and beyond. No? So the purpose of PCA and SVD is to reduce the number of features as much as possible. No? And the least number of features that we have for better accuracy is 15. Okay, so we can use 15 as the number of components here to predict our model, no? To use the model for prediction. So here we have a temporary row. Okay, this is basically a row of 20 items, and we will use the model that we fitted here to predict the row. And as it has the same prediction as the other PCA, which is the predicted class is 1. All right.